In this video, we're going to discuss your default lead time, your express lead time, and your warehouse transfer time and your forecast settings. Let's get started. So from your forecast page, you're going to click into any one of your forecasts, and we'll start here. Just below your order and transfer schedule, which we just talked about, we're going to work on our default lead time, our express lead time, and our transfer time. Now the default lead time will most likely already be populated because you set up your default lead time when you first did your onboarding into SoStocked. However, we do have some options here. There's actually a hierarchy of lead times, which is why this video is important. Let's take a step back. When you created your initial lead time or lead times, you actually can assign them, as you saw in the previous video, you can assign them as default lead times per supplier. So what happens is every single product from the supplier will automatically get this lead time. But what happens if this product is sold in North America and it's also sold in Europe, and there are two different lead times? Maybe they go to two different warehouses. That's why we have the option to override our default lead time at a forecast level. So for example, this lead time goes to Amazing Logistics, but maybe it goes to a different warehouse in Europe. So I would override it here, and then I would save and apply to all products, maybe from this marketplace or this brand, and I can have different options to save. So those are the override settings. Now, once you have your default lead time set, let's talk about an express lead time, right? So in this particular situation, let's look at what's actually happening with this product. We're out of stock. The product is supposed to be selling 35 units a day, but we only have 100 units left in our warehouse. I'm going to skip to the transfer time, and then we'll go back to express lead time in a minute. The transfer time in SoStocked is just a number of days for it to get from point A, which is your warehouse, to point B, which is Amazon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is a 10-day transfer time. The default is 10 days. You can adjust this. And what I recommend doing here is adjusting this to kind of more of the worst case scenario, and this should include transfer time and FBA check-in time. So this is the total amount of time from the minute you submit that transfer order to your warehouse for that inventory to become fully checked in and sellable at Amazon. So let's say it's 10 or 15 days, whatever it is, just go there and save it. Again, you can save and apply to any grouping of products. Now, this is important because this is going to be used whenever you're transferring inventory. We call this a work order or a transfer order. If you're transferring order from your warehouse into Amazon, the system is going to auto-populate and split it in half. 10 days, 5 on a truck, 5 FBA check-in, and that's where that number is being used. So that's your transfer time. Now let's talk about express lead time. Okay, so right now I've got my order schedule set up every month on the first of the month. Today happens to be March 6th, so the next time I can place an order isn't until April 1st, which is the next month on the 1st. And let's see what happens if we wait until April 1st to place this order. So here's my PO, and I have my default 47-day lead time that's going to arrive at my warehouse. And in 47 days from April 1st is May 18th. So if we follow the inventory timeline down here, which is really cool that we have an inventory timeline so you can see how this will all play out. That inventory arrives on May 18th. My first transfer recommendation is on May 21st, and then it takes 10 days from that day for that transfer time for the inventory to arrive. So the soonest I can get new inventory to Amazon is May 31st. And that means I'm going to have all these stock out days after I run out of this initial 100 units, which is only going to last me a couple days, right? So that's why we have an additional backup express lead time. Here's how the express lead time works. You can choose from one of your default lead times that you built on your lead times page, which we talked about earlier. In this case, I already have an express lead time set up. Or I can actually just build a lead time right here in the system and save it. In this case, I'm going to choose my 6-day express lead time. This is a little bit unrealistic because it doesn't have production in it, so let's actually just edit that right here. So let's say it's a 30-day production, and instead of another 30 or 40 days on a boat or whatever, it just goes straight to Amazon. So that's a total of 35 days, which is a little bit faster than my 47 days. I'm going to save and apply that. And now you can see there's a difference of 12 days in there. So the system is going to actually recommend an additional order on the same day. So my order is going to be split between my standard lead time order and an additional order right here for 900 units. And that 900 units gets there early enough, and the system knows order the minimum amount so that you're almost out of inventory by the time that big PO arrives. So this is only, the purpose of the express lead time is to limit or reduce your stockout days. Does that make sense? Now, this is really cool. So what the system is now doing is it's telling me to not only place my order, let's back up to April 1st. This and this are all coming from the same supplier. So all I have to do is click this one button, and the system will split that PO into 2 separate shipments within the same purchase order. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this on April 1st. I've got my express order here with a 35-day lead time straight to Amazon. And then in the second shipment, I've got 2250 going to my warehouse. And all I have to do is submit this purchase order, and then I'll have 2 orders in the system. So that's the purpose of the express lead time. And as always, like with any of our tools, you can save and apply this to any grouping of products. Once you have your order schedule, transfer schedule, lead times, and transfer times set up, your forecast should be very meaningful, and the inventory timeline should actually make a lot of sense to you. Okay, happy forecasting.